struggling to pay their mortgages. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heiser here, and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from the Daily Mail Australia discussing, well, the significant number of people that are struggling to pay their mortgages in some areas of Melbourne. Now you've got the lockdowns. We've got, well, a cash rate that is just ludicrously low. I haven't bothered to update the chart in months. 0.25%. Mortgage rates that you can get on your mortgages, some people are below 2% for some of them. 3%. It's very, very cheap to get money. You've got mortgage holidays until March. They're ending at the end of this month, but some are still going to apply until March. You've got the ability to trade while insolvent. If you have a company, you can just take on debts knowing that you can't afford to repay them. Doesn't matter. You won't get in trouble. You won't be personally liable. You've got JobKeeper, government subsidizing businesses, keeping them going because, well, government forced them all to shut down. You've got an inflated job seeker payment. And you've got people that are in this all struggling to pay their mortgages. You've got mortgage stress going through the roof. What is going to happen here, guys? Because we're seeing, one side they're telling us, quick now, buy property, buy property. This morning we looked at an article that had all these examples of paying above the reserve. People are doing it, guys. So let's look at this. With all that in mind, let's have a look at this. So a devastating map shows the Great Australian Dream being shredded in Melbourne. A staggering 97% of residents struggling to pay their mortgages in some suburbs. Now, here's the question I'll put you. Is it still the Great Australian Dream? Having the quarter-acre block, the house, the yard to play in, the room to grow veggies, play backyard cricket? Or has that disappeared now? How many blocks you've got, barely 10-metre frontage, 12-metre frontage? Tiny little house taking up the entire block, no room to breathe, no room to play. It doesn't matter, people don't have kids anymore, do they? Ordinary Melburnians are struggling under draconian lockdowns, with up to 97% of home borrowers unable to pay their mortgages in some suburbs. Melbourne is home to 7 of Australia's 10 worst postcodes for mortgage stress, where home borrowers can't service their loans and pay their bills on time. Victorian Labor Premier Daniel Andrews' Stage 4 lockdowns are financially hurting young, growing families in the suburbs, and the prospect of more restrictions are causing more businesses to close down. Now, we saw that yesterday. We even saw in a video yesterday a gymnasium that had was falsely identified as a hotspot, and it has damaged his business. It has damaged the guy's business. He's now contemplating letting people go because he can't afford to run otherwise. There is a huge economic price that we're paying, and the question needs to be asked again and again. Was it worth it? Is it worth it? Is the sacrifice that we're making worth it? Because it doesn't feel like it. It seems crazy. The big banks in September are also auditing borrowers to see if they can start servicing their loans again after 6 months of mortgage repayment holidays. I mean, we didn't have mortgage repayment holidays in the recession Australia had to have, did we? I'm just bringing up a chart here, everyone, to show you all. Just, well, how dramatic the GDP fall we had is. And I know I need to bring this into my deck, but still, let's look at that fall. Let's go to the max data to see. See this little tiny fall here? See that? That's the recession Australia had to have. That's the last recession we had. Yeah, this is normal. Completely normal. Unemployment too is tipped to hit double-digit figures by Christmas for the first time since 1994. And here we have a map, and I've brought it up on another screen. So these are blue are 8% and below households in stress, where red is above 89%. And I grew up, where did I grow up in? Yarra around here, I think. So it's not too bad. Manningham. I'm trying to find Coldstream. I can't find it. I don't recognize these names. It's been too long. Around about there. But you can look at here. Look at this area. 89%. Look at here. All the suburbs. 89%. Look at them. All the yellow over 50. Even the light green. Most of them should be light blue and blue, everyone. It's not. Most of them, 30% of the people, seem to be struggling. This is shocking. So, it looks like perhaps what's happening in WA. The stories and warnings that we've been hearing from Martin North and John Adams and others are starting to materialize. Because the Black Swan event that has tipped over our precarious economy that's just built on this house of cards propped up by housing. In Australia's worst affected suburb, Pascoe Vale, in Melbourne's north, 97% of borrowers are suffering from mortgage stress, digital finance analytics data shows. Okay, so they're finally, more people are paying attention to what DFA is saying. At Naree Warren, in Melbourne's outer southeast, 96.8% of mortgage holders are in dire straits. I mean, this is just... We're seeing on one hand, we're reading articles where they're saying, now's the time to buy. Interest rates are so low. Get in. Pay above reserve. 3 pieces, 3 properties. Most of them well above median, where people are paying above reserve to buy. And then we see another article like this published on the same day, where people are struggling to afford their mortgages. And we have a look, wage growth has stagnated in this country. Economic complexity is going down. GDP growth per capita has been depressed since the GFC. We're not kicking goals here, guys. We've chucked everything at housing as a civilization. We've put into housing. Most of our wealth is in our housing. Now, housing is fantastic. Sure, it's nice. It's great to live in. But you don't really produce much there. I guess maybe the one productive thing you do in housing is reproduce. And we can't even do that properly. Okay? Most people are just too lazy to do that properly these days. So, I mean, I'm being half facetious and half serious. I mean, what's our government looking at doing? They're looking at just same old. More migration, more foreign investment in the country. And, well, what has foreign investment done to Australia? It's, if we have a look here, that's foreign investment into housing. These are building approvals. Nearly 100% at one stage. And then we'll bring up this other chart. Property prices. Skyrocketing. That's what you want. You want property to go up. Not if you're young and trying to get in. People aren't starting families because they think they can't afford it. They think they can't afford it. They don't want to start a family renting. The problem is you've got a generation of people that want to give their children the lifestyle they had. I grew up on a 1/4 acre block with my parents. And they're afraid to take the leap because, well, they think they can't afford it. So what does the government do? Bring more people in to prop up our population growth. But there's a whole range of other issues that are associated with that. One is our infrastructure isn't keeping up. Potable water isn't keeping up. Housing costs go up. The awful story was similar in nearby Belgrave, where 96.1% of borrowers struggling in the suburb that is home to the closed Puffin Billy steam train tourist attraction. I remember Puffin Billy. I remember that. We never went. I saw it on the TV. I always wanted to go as a kid. I need to take Frederick. He's about to turn 5, and we've got to take him to see the Ipswich Rail Museum, designed by Blyvold and Neald Architects. Rich and poor suburbs alike are in trouble in Australia's second biggest city, with 95.6% of borrowers struggling in upmarket Armidale, as a similar proportion, 95.2%, buckle to financial pressure in working class Arbfield and Essendon in the city's north. Outer suburbs, more than 30 kilometres from the city centre, were also a red zone, with 94.1% of mortgage holders financially treading water. In Mount Evelyn, damn, 93.8% of borrowers in Everton Hills wondering about their next bill. DFA Analytics Principal Martin North, an economist, said this was not just an economic crisis, with many borrowers months away from a disaster. Now, here's the thing. Here's the argument that Adams is making, is that there won't be political will to allow people to suffer in this country. And sadly, I tend to agree with him. They're going to do everything they can just to keep the can kicking. I mean, who would have thought we'd have mortgage holidays for this long? Who would have thought we'd have interest rates this low? Do you think they'll hit zero? Do you think they'll hit negative? What else can the government do? What insane thing can the government do? People trading while insolvent. This is the thing that really scares the shit out of me. Probably because I'm in business and I've had to chase people who've stiffed me on money. There's nothing worse that when you've got a whole bunch of people working for you, you're working on projects, you're contractually obliged to provide a service regardless of if you're paid on time. Because by not providing the service, you're technically in breach of the contract. And then people are just stiffing you. It's really great when you've got multi-millionaires that stiff you like money. Or when you're 90 days past due. This is why that scares me more than anything. Because you're going to have people that are working on projects, subbies that are doing, perhaps buying, doing what I did, buying data cable, cabling up a job or something. And then, they don't get paid, and they go under. You can't go and tear it out, can you? Because the owner who's paid for the project to the builder that may have been trading while a liquid has paid for the goods. They get it. They own it. So it has the potential to be a huge mess. And I'm shocked that they're even letting that happen. That just screams to me how desperate everything is. The pressure on these households is not just financial. It translates into both social and economic pressure as well, he told the Daily Mail. Since the pandemic, the federal government has spent $164 billion on stimulus programs. Mr. North feared the problem of mortgage stress would worsen as government crisis spending programs wound back as unemployment rose. Well, yeah, we're actually going to start to see a dose of reality then. The recession hasn't started yet, guys. Sure, we're starting to see it slowly materialize. Maybe some people are shutting down their business preemptively, or they're getting out of a lease, or they're cutting their costs, or they're reducing staff. But we're not seeing row after row yet of businesses completely gone, of cars for sale on the side of the road everywhere, of food bank queues increasing. The Australian Banking Association has this week also confirmed 450,000 homes and small business borrowers on 6 months mortgage repayment holidays would be audited in September and October to see if they could service their loans. The banks are already asking hard questions of some people, Mr. North said. In fact, I've got some feedback from speaking to individuals in my focus group that the bank are already putting pressure on them to consider selling their property. And that's it. That's what's going to happen. You've got to remember, guys, the banks, they're not our friends. They are risk management experts. That is their entire strategy, is how to manage their risk. I've heard some horror stories of where banks have wanted to get out of an industry, told business people, okay, you need to get refinance your mortgages, pay off all your credit cards. We're not doing business with you anymore. You've got to get out. You've got 30 days. Does that sound like something a friend would do to you? So in other words, rather than actually saying, we'll give you another 6 months extension, they're actually suggesting they should be proactive and sell the property. They want to secure the value of their assets. They want to start tapering people out. How many people should sell now but are going to hold on hoping? How many businesses should shut the doors now but are going to hold on and it'll get worse? I mean, this is the thing. It's guys, this is going to be tough. There's going to be some businesses that just can't survive. And particularly in Victoria, how do you know if there isn't going to be another round of restrictions? I wonder if suddenly, it was declared illegal and everything opened up again. Do you think that would be a boost for the economy? I think that would shoot confidence up. What happened? What if that would happen? And then all of a sudden, economic activity returned to normal. And then, oh, look, we all managed well. Funny that. I really wonder what would happen. Would that be justifiable to we need a royal commission into this. We really do. And this whole debacle that was this intervention into our lives. There's going to be more pressure on people, September, October, November, to put their property on the market. By March, the extended mortgage holidays are set to end, creating a new round of chaos. See, this is the thing. They were meant to end this month, but they've pushed them out again and again and again. What are they going to do? What happens in March? Maybe they'll push it out again. Maybe it'll be, go cash interest only, and then it'll be intergenerational. That'll be the final thing. Sign your kids up to indentured servitude. They have to work at the teller for 5 years. That will be the next critical crunch point too, Mr. North said. We can assume that this is going to be the trend, not just for a few months, but potentially for 2 or 3 years. The prospect. See, this is the thing. Martin's been warning about this for a while. You kind of wouldn't want to be right, would you? In some ways. Because there are going to be some people that are completely ill-prepared and it's going to destroy their lives. And that's why I'd encourage you, if you've got friends and family, if you're prepared and you've been following the news, or you know what's happening, and you've positioned yourself to not be at risk, so at least reach out to your friends and let them know, particularly those in trouble, let them know that it'll be okay. It's only material stuff. It can disappear in the blink of an eye anyway. The prospect of forced sales is also worrying the RBA, which predicted in a paper published last month that 40% of house price falls were an extreme but plausible scenario, echoing what happened in the US, Spain and Ireland after the GFC more than a decade ago. The RBA is also predicting that employment will rise from a 22-year high of 7.5% to 10% by the end of 2020, a level unseen since 1994. Propatology head of research Simon Presley said the lockdowns were likely to see 30,000 Melbourne residents leave the city or even Victoria during the next 2 years. And I bet you, I'm not surprised at all by that, by just the number of people in the comments that want to get out. I wouldn't want to stay there. Although, to be brutally honest, I can see the exact same things happening here in Queensland, but it's just because we have an election coming on. And I really hope Labor don't win again in Queensland. Not that Liberal would be much better, but I think it would send a clear message. Whether they relocate to a nearby Victorian regional location such as Bendigo, Wodonga, the Great Ocean Road region, or whether they completely leave the state, thousands of Melburnians will take action to regain their freedom, he said. Prolonged uncertainty for one's income is unsustainable. Lockdown is no lifestyle. DFA compiles telephone and focus group data every month from 4,700 respondents. Every month it creates heat maps showing suburbs suffering from the highest level of mortgage stress, with areas marked in red indicating 89% or more of borrowers can't pay their bills. Before the pandemic, Australia had the world's second highest debt-to-income ratio of 186.5%, largely as a result of high house prices. So there we have it, everyone. A rather bleak and depressing insight into just what's happening in Melbourne. I mean, if you're in this situation, what can you do? I mean, we've been there. We've had, where drastically our income just got smashed. We had a big project, $500,000 worth of work lined up that just turned off. So we had to make some real big cuts. I had to let staff go because I'd made the mistake of keeping the boys on over the Christmas period, which generally isn't much work for this new project that we had the signed contract on to hit the next year running. And then that didn't eventuate, which is kind of a shame. So I'd incurred a lot of costs and I just needed to save. And I went through every single way I could save money. Every single way, every cost I cut. You become such a cheap bastard right there. And, it worked out. We're okay. I learned a whole new skills of being super cheap, which is kind of sad now because I really struggle to spend any money on things. But that's a good thing. You kind of want to be in this position now because of what's coming. So if you're struggling to pay your bills, if you're one of these people here that's struggling to pay, you've got to go through. There's a lot of things you think are a luxury that are not, that you can cut, that you can save. And then hit the debt. Hit the debt fast as you can. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions. What suggestions do you have for people that are struggling in the comments below? Maybe it is time to sell, but it's going to be bloody hard in Melbourne. It's going to be impossible in Melbourne right now. The real estate market's closed. Tell you, I'm glad I got a fixer-upper. I'm really glad I got a fixer-upper house. As always, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, and KuCoin. You can buy merch from Heisa Says, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, have a great day, and I will see you all in the next episode.